It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America. How's everybody doing? He's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. Ready to go.
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. What the hell are these kids listening to today? Hey, jeez.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny, Squeaky Squirrel, Cinnabon, Jelly Roll.
So,
I mean, what?
I woke up. Apparently the Grammys were last night?
Yes.
All right. Because I didn't see any. Normally, you and I only learn about it. I can't speak for you. I only learn about it if it's in the news. If something like that's in the news. Award shows aren't on my radar at all anymore. When our late friend Bill Mack won his Grammy, that was probably in 97. That was probably the last time I cared about the Grammys. And I woke up and there's all these, the whole string of notifications from news organizations, about Bad Bunny and Grammys. And I'm like, I guess I missed the Grammy. I miss is a large word. I guess I didn't watch the Grammys, which of course I didn't. But that's the only way I learn about these awards shows. It was like Rogan was talking to Bert Kreischer, the comedian, about the whole hubbub. I didn't know there was a hubbub about Rogan not getting a Golden Globe. I didn't know they gave out Golden Globes for podcasts.
Yeah, I saw that, and then he talked about he didn't want to
He didn't submit.
Where you have to pay a fee.
Well, but he said even if they didn't charge the fee, he wouldn't have submitted because it's a small organization, a small group, a committee of people that decide you're going to be number one. Well, he's been number one. This is what we said to Will Smith when they were complaining about the Oscars years ago. He was complaining no people of color are winning Oscars. And I want my children to see, people of color on the stage getting awards. And I thought to myself, that's a beef with a small group of people. The largest group of people, Mr. Smith, went and collectively paid, I don't know, billions of dollars to go see your movies. That's where the award is.
As we've always said, the best awards are remaining employed.
Yeah.
There is no other award like remaining employed. And I know, being in this business, I know people that are just live and die by if they get an award or recognition. I know you never cared about that. I don't care about it.
Yeah,
I just want to do the things that I want to do, and I get to do that here. And the reward is actually that I'm this age and still working. I mean, what kind of an award is that? Well, I don't get to retire at 65. I'm still here.
Yeah.
5 years later.
Yeah. Good luck. It's punishment for us. It is.
You're right. It's punishment. That's our award. Punishment. I can't quit the damn thing.
Well, I saw this thing. Apparently, I didn't know, but the Hallmark movies are not so much the romance movies anymore. They're the mysteries. The mysteries.
Oh, yeah.
They've got Hallmark mysteries. And I thought, okay, that's the way to go. It's and I watched a few minutes of one, and I thought, because my wife was watching this movie, and I thought to myself, all right, I'll bite. Let's see if it's different. It's pretty much the same thing, family friendly, except for all the murdering part. It's family friendly. It's it's not the cheesy romance thing, even though they're still doing that thing. The Christmas thing, they're still doing that thing. But then I saw Jerry O'Connell's picture on one of the thumbnails for one of the mystery movies. Now, this is Jerry O'Connell going back as a child actor to Stand By Me and the whole thing. Seems to be a funny guy. I don't know how old he is now, but I thought to myself, actors who are just, I forget who it was that said it. If the phone is ringing, that's a good day. Somebody wants you to work. Someone calls you to work. I'll just apply that to any job. Someone calls you and asks you to do some work. and they're willing to pay you, that's a good day.
I will tell you that the same thing happened to me when you were saying it. I went, because I didn't hear anything. And again, I understand our focus might not be the focus of somebody who's watching TMZ all the time.
Right.
But I scan and pay enough attention to what goes on. When you scan, I don't know, 50 different sites every day,
Mm-hmm.
and then you scroll through all of different social media, I did not know the Grammys were on till like 4 o'clock this afternoon, right before I went to sleep. It started appearing at that point.
Yeah.
You know, the Grammys coming up. I thought that what was interesting is this seems to be the most controversial moment of the Grammys last night. Are you ready? Here we
All
go.
right.
I got this audio to play here, and it's Jelly Roll. And you're going to know when you hear this, you're going to say, oh, my gosh. I mean, even though they're cheering for this, the left has to go bonkers on this, and on social media they were. This is what I woke up to going, the controversial comments by Jelly Roll.
Yeah, all right.
I'm like, what did he say? You know, I know that Bonkers Bunny said something about ice out. I know that. Ice out, ice out, ice out.
All right.
And I was like, yeah, snore. But here's Jelly Roll. Here we go.
There was a time in my life, y'all, that I was broken. That's why I wrote this album. I didn't think I had a chance, y'all. There was days that I thought the darkest things. I was a horrible human. There was a moment in my life that all I had was a Bible this big and a radio the same size and a 6x8 foot cell. And I believed that those two things could change my life. I believed that music had the power to change my life and God had the power to change my life. And I want to tell y'all right now, Jesus is for everybody. Jesus is not owned by one political party. Jesus is not owned by no music label. Jesus is Jesus, and anybody can have a relationship with him. I love you, Lord.
All right.
That's the kind of controversy I'm looking for. Now, the interesting thing is, as he was doing, you know, that his monologue, his speech, the camera only panned and showed one person twice. Reba McEntire, who had a big smile on her face and stood up and was cheering and everything else. I'm like,
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's making the case that, you know, Republicans can't claim they own Christianity, which is what it sounded like to me. But I would just remind him, or maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he needs to be informed. I don't know if he was in jail at the time. But the Democrats booed God on stage at one of their conventions.
yes, he needs to know that. I don't know if he was being political there. I've seen him, and actually because of YouTube, seen him at prisons.
Mm-hmm.
He's really good.
Yeah. Look, I'm all
He's really-
for
he's really
rehabilitation
good.
stories.
Yeah.
He finally got a pardon by his governor so that he could then travel into Canada. He could go tour in Canada and do that. And full rehabilitation, I'm all for, whether you're somebody who's a big star or whatever it is, or somebody who's not. It doesn't matter. If you turn over a new leaf, I'm all for second, even third chances, if you're working at it.
I got that. That was a question from jury duty.
Really? Yeah.
What are what do you expect, when somebody goes to prison? What are your, and I think it was the choices, and then in order. And I think it was rehabilitation, punishment. What's the other one?
Incarceration, separating them from society.
No, right. I think it was like something like it's safety, whatever.
Right.
Safe, and I think I went, safety.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was safety, punishment, and then rehabilitation.
Right.
I think that's what I put.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the criminal out in the street. I mean, that's
right.
the
Look, there
one
are
thing.
certain criminals where, and I look at the nature of the crime, and I believe that there is zero chance for rehabilitation.
Don Lemon, for example.
Right. Look, he tried to go to church, but it didn't work out for him.
Don't worry, we'll get to that.
Yeah. So, it's, I look at certain crimes, and it, again, if there is a behavior that is especially nefarious, then I have a mindset that it's unlikely that that person would be rehabilitated and would be safe in public. Crimes against children.
Yeah.
That is something that most of us in society can't wrap our brain around, and it's why many of those offenders get life in prison without parole, and should. But in terms of other things, I mean, it just depends, again, on the nature of the crime. You look at my wife and I, for some reason, we were talking about killers over the weekend, and, what would drive a person to take another life, and, that kind of thing. And the Brian Kohberger case, the Idaho students, but then the BTK killer, and the documentary that came out within the last year and a half about his daughter, basically, and how all that went down. These are individuals that clearly can't be rehabilitated. That's not going to happen. The most heinous of crimes, but the most evil of individuals, really. But with other crimes, there is a chance. And that's, look, the Jelly Roll thing is one of those stories. It's kind of like the Merle Haggard story. Merle Haggard, realized, music is going to be his way to, not get in trouble again. And that's how it happened. So it's also interesting, in the messaging. I'm wondering where the music industry, Hollywood, and all of that collectively, where they're going to find their messaging. It used to seem like they were kind of in the forefront, rather, of all of this protest kind of stuff, right? Like the Democrats used to kind of lead.
Oh, yeah.
Other people, but now it's the radicals leading them.
Yeah. Oh, without question. I mean, I don't think you can look at the Democratic Party anyway for a significant period of time now that it's the radical left that is actually leading. You see it here you see it on the budget. You see it across the board on every single issue. And we'll get into that based on because the news out there about the one district in my county for the state Senate race that went. It was solidly, 17 points Trump won by, and in the special election.
I think he won by 17 points.
And what was her
I think 14.
Her loss was like 14, but it was a huge turnaround in a solidly red district. So all the questions are, okay, what happened there? And we'll get to that, coming up also. Just so one of those days again. Mondays suck. Because I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So much.
Very busy weekend.
But we will. Next, we are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. Compliance, Safety, Accountability is the FMCSA Safety, Compliance, and Enforcement Program. Its goal is to hold motor carriers and drivers accountable for highway safety. CSA does this by assessing the safety performance of motor carriers and drivers. Motor carriers are assigned a score. The carrier is then grouped with other carriers who have had a similar number of safety events. Carrier scores within the group are then ranked. Low scores are better. So carriers with the highest scores are those that are most likely to be targeted for intervention by the FMCSA. Interventions range in severity and may include warning letters, roadside, off-site, or on-site inspections, civil penalties, or operation out-of-service orders. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. This story here is something that you and I talked about a long time ago because we've been on the radical transgender insanity for over a decade. So early on that we even had members of our listeners of our own, from our audience, tell us a long time ago, you guys are focusing on something that's never going to be a big deal. It's like,
Yeah, well.
that was wrong.
Yeah.
That didn't age well. But we always said that all of this would stop when the lawsuits started.
Yeah.
When the lawsuits were successful. And the first lawsuit was successful out of New York.
Yeah.
A woman who received a double mastectomy at the age of 16 under the guise of transgender-related health care was just awarded $2 million in the first successful medical malpractice lawsuit brought by somebody who was transitioning. Fox Varian was named, sued her New York-based psychologist and plastic surgeon for facilitating her gender transaction double mastectomy in 2019. The mother was led by her daughter's psychologist to believe the breast removal was the only way to heal her gender dysphoria, she told the jury. Wow. The man was so emphatic and pushing. I felt like there was no good decision, she said. I think it was a scare tactic. I don't believe it was malice. I think he believed what he was saying, but he was very, very, very wrong. This is the mother saying the idea of a 16-year-old daughter receiving a mastectomy made her physically ill, but she said she was led to believe by the psychologist that she would be unhappy unless she was affirmed in her gender dysphoria.
Wow.
It was the hardest, most difficult, gut-wrenching decision. And she was wrong. She was right. The psychologist was wrong. $2 million lawsuit. This is just the beginning. This is lawsuit number one.
Well, and it's not, the thing is it's not going to go away because this is a fairly, if you think about it, still fairly a new movement.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And these individuals are, many of them, as they move into adulthood, dealing with ramifications one way or the other. It will not be the end. The lawsuits are going to pile up in a big, 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 big way. And the question will be is what comes down then, what happens to these so-called medical professionals who are treating these children?
Because this is not something like a sanctioned operation where negligence happened in the operation.
Right.
The malpractice is in the procedure itself.
Right. After a series of events, it's not one mistake. It was intentional in a series of events that happened leading up to irreversible harm. There's when you go to prove intent, it's going to be so easy in these cases because there will be a series of visits and discussions that will be had, and all of that will be laid out for you. This is intentional.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. That story over the weekend where the jury awards the detransitioner $2 million in the historic medical malpractice lawsuit. This is the radical transgender movement here in action. And you and I said a long time ago, what's going to stop these surgeries on minors is going to be the courts, is going to be civil lawsuits. And This is the first one. I thought this was important to read this part of it. The defendants, the psychologist and the plastic surgeon, implied that the woman wanted the medical procedure and was even at risk of suicide should she not receive a mastectomy. We know that's something that is being promoted all the time. If you don't do genital mutilation or irreversible hormone treatments, then they'll commit suicide. And like, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Maybe there are bigger medical issues here than the transitioning. But they said the defendants again said that Varian wanted the medical procedure and was even at risk of suicide should she not receive the mastectomy. The attorney called Deacon's consent a critical fact of the case and asked jurors what might have happened to a potentially suicidal woman had the doctor and the plastic surgeon and the psychologist had refused to do the surgery. The woman's legal team argued that the matter in question was not if the surgery should have been performed on her because she was a minor, but if doctors correctly assumed Varian the woman had gender dysphoria. Defendants did not notify her of the risks, hazards, and alternatives before the surgery, the legal term claimed. This is not a case about regret, but about the healthcare professionals who chose to, quote, empower a patient instead of treat her. The psychologist and plastic surgeon should have ensured that the woman's other psychological conditions, including anorexia, depression, ADHD, autism, and body dysmorphia, were well controlled before approving the surgery. What you're doing is you're setting, it's like, what is the medical definition of gender dysphoria?
Yeah.
Because in the law, as you and I have talked about before, because Obama's the one that got this all started. And it was basically, you don't get to question it. If a person says they have gender dysphoria, if a man says I should be a woman, that's it.
Well,
it may not be medically, but legally that's where they want it to go.
And that's the question. What constitutes it legally is based in medical opinion, where you have activists that are influencing medical opinion. Even practicing doctors that will clearly, by the result of this case, manipulate people into thinking they're doing the right thing and doing irreversible harm. So, this is the problem you get into. It's for all of us standing on the outside of this. This is easy to see. It's easy to look at, all right, because in a civil case, in all civil cases, you're looking to determine if damage was done, and then if so, what will be awarded? What will be the result of that damage being done? What will be done about it? Well, it's easy for us anybody with any level of critical thinking skills, to tell you, to easily lay out there, you cannot do this because it's irreversible, and long term, you can't change that. There's no way to change that. There's no way to correct it. Once you've altered the human body in that way, it's for good. This is where the medical community has to come to some kind of consensus that this is wrong.
Well, they put that doubt in the jury's mind when they said the legal team argued that the matter in question was not if the surgery should have been performed on her because she was a minor, but if doctors correctly assumed that she had gender dysphoria. Well, what is the medical? If you've got a minor who is saying, and they seem to agree on it, they both sides seem to agree on it. She was saying, "I'm going to commit suicide if I don't get this, if I don't get the double mastectomy. I'm going to commit suicide." Well, what's the definition of gender dysphoria if that isn't the definition of gender dysphoria? What actually is the medical term behind it? And did the defense, here's my thing, did the defense just, because the first thing I'd said this earlier, and I might have jumped the gun on it, where I said, they're going after the procedure itself. The procedure was done correctly. There wasn't a mistake or negligence in the actual operation. What they're saying is there might have been a problem with diagnosis on something that, how the hell do you diagnose it? And this is where you're going to have hospitals go, we can't be a part of this because nobody can define what gender dysphoria is.
It really is going to have to start with the medical community making a decision on this. They're going to have to, and beyond massive liabilities, I mean, the liabilities are what will change minds that seemingly won't be changed. But there is no doubt you have these activists with a great deal of power, whether they're a psychologist or a surgeon, or both. You're going to have to look at all groups within the medical community, and they have to reassess if this is the proper way to do this. Again, because this is an elective surgery. This is not something done to save a life.
Well, they're trying to make the claim it is because they told the jury, well, what if she didn't get the operation? She might have committed suicide.
Right.
How do you know that she wouldn't?
Which is not a standard.
No,
for a life-saving situation like in an ER. And this is what the medical community has to come to terms with.
Because everybody's saying, well, we don't know, right? We don't know. No, I mean, she might have committed suicide if she didn't get it. Therefore, it's justification to do this to a minor. Now, the interesting thing is, would it be different if you're not a minor? Because they didn't argue
I think things may change there.
Because they didn't argue the minor. Okay, I mean, this opens it up big time to adults. Well, it's up to them to. I'm just the person who's experiencing these symptoms. I'm not the medical professional. And yes, I had these feelings, but but if you go into it, and this is where I can see legal teams in hospitals and doctors' offices going, you just can't get involved in this. You just can't do it, because if they change their mind, they'll say, see, I changed my mind. I didn't have gender dysphoria.
And you were wrong to help me with this.
Right.
I mean, I can see an adult coming back easily on this and suing and winning. You were wrong to perform this procedure, to give me this treatment that was irreversible. It's not like, again, getting dressed or putting makeup on or cutting hair. It's not any of that. Once you start irreversible treatment, look at this. Look at where the medical community is right now in terms of liabilities and the great concern over opioids, right? I mean, at one time, There were the way that opioids were being written, the scripts on opioids were being written, haphazardly. Well, here, this will help you. Here, this will help you. Well, there had to be some kind of assessment, quite unfortunately, after a series of events that takes place where people die or people get greatly hurt. And now it's very different. So if you look at where they are, and it with big pharma, with the medical industry, it is decided quite often through lawsuits or stories that rise to the top. I think it was both with opioids. But now you've got a situation where surgery and treatment is being done that's irreversible. How can you be a part of, if you're a doctor, how can you be a part of condoning that? You're a full-on radical with an agenda, which is a hero complex. You think you're being a hero for this person, and I believe those doctors actually believe that. Not just for the person, for the movement. Politically, they believe it. I'm going to be on the right side of history without any regard to the life and future of that person.
And it looks like the legal problem here is legally nobody can define what gender dysphoria is.
Right.
And since you can't define what it is, well, then that's the doubt in any jury's mind. What hospital wants to be part of these lawsuits? No. Remember, in malpractice, a lot of things, for example, you go in and get heart surgery and they give you a defective valve and somebody knew it was defective and there it goes, right?
Yeah.
But the operation itself, even though you can get it, I mean, if you are diagnosed wrong, but if you're diagnosed wrong, you've got hard data to show it. I was thinking of when John Ritter died and his wife sued. And they thought he was having, a heart attack, whatever, and he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they won a lawsuit, whatever. I think settled out of court on that. But you look at that, there's science is involved. Nobody has any idea. They don't know. It's an analysis by one psychologist who said, yeah, you've got gender dysphoria. And the jury's going, we don't know if she did.
Yeah.
We don't know. What's the definition? Nobody seems to know the definition of it.
Right.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Man, that was so sad. I did a double take because I couldn't believe it. Catherine, the actress, comedian, Catherine O'Hara.
That was really
away.
sad.
Oh man, and I did see when what's her? I can't think of his name. Kevin, the actor's name, Macaulay Culkin, when he was inducted into the Hollywood Star Hall of Fame, whatever that is,
the Walk of Fame.
Walk of Fame, yes. And she introduced him, and it was a year and a half ago, but I didn't see it until last summer. I saw it on YouTube, and it was like she was so sweet, and she was just, you could tell, so proud of him because he's really, he's seems to be doing very, very well.
Yeah.
And she was just so great and looked so healthy and everything else. So it just, it caught me off guard. I went, man, this can't be right. But as we all know,
Damon Wilson.
Yes. Oh man. Jeez.
I don't remember a time. I mean, I probably watched every episode of Sanford and Son. I don't know, probably 10 times.
And Catherine O'Hara, I was lucky because growing up on the border, we saw her way before most American audiences did on SCTV out of Toronto. Before they syndicated it a few years later on American TV, it was coming out of Canadian broadcast TV. We'd see it all the time.
Yeah,
she was just great.
Yeah, very funny. Seemingly a very sweet individual.
Yeah.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Groundhog Day. Is that movie going to be on 1 billion times now? Over the next week?
I was wondering that. Would anyone see it? Because where are you going to show it? Cable's all but gone. You're going to have to watch it on YouTube.
Well, no. A ton of streaming channels out there with...
That's what I mean. It'd have to be on streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I consider that TV, though.
Well, it is. I remember years ago when someone said, it was probably 2008, 2009, someone said, YouTube will be the TV of the future. And I laughed. It's not going to happen because, I'm good at predicting the future. And here we are. I mean, streaming overall. But we watch movies, TV shows.
Oh, yeah. Everything's
original content, all of it. If the only thing I watch on Netflix is documentaries with the exception of one new miniseries that I watched, which was very compelling, called Adolescence. But normally it's true crime documentaries. And there's a ton of those on YouTube. I mean, if I had to pare it down, if someone said you could only keep one, it would be a clear winner. The $11 or whatever I pay for no ads on YouTube, that's all I'm paying.
Yeah,
everything else will go away.
Yeah, it's the best. For me, it's the best investment. I never thought.
Because you can rent movies on YouTube even.
I know, but I never thought that I would pay YouTube not to get commercials.
But
it's great because there's so much content.
Yeah.
And the way that they put the commercials in is so irritating because it just
it breaks up everything.
Sentence. Right.
It'll be right in the middle. Just all of a sudden an ad starts, and then it's like, no. I watched something on Amazon Prime the other day, and you're going through 3 or 4 ads before the show starts, and you pay to watch the show.
Yeah.
You pay to rent the movie or whatever.
Yep.
And it was like, yeah, that's annoying.
How can I get out of this somehow? Wait a minute. I'm paying for Prime.
Well, I don't know. Is there another level beyond?
It could be.
A Prime. Is there a Prime Plus? I guess there might be. I'm not paying for it. I don't go there often enough to watch movies.
Because the guys here just were harping on me for the longest time. I finally watched the first 2 episodes of Landman from the first year.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
And I will tell you this. My analysis after... Now, it's taken me, I don't know, 5 days to watch 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling it's going to be slower. It's by the time I watch a season, it's going to be 6 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 2's there. But what it is It's about a guy in the oil business whose wife is Peg Bundy and whose daughter is Kelly from Married with Children. That's my analysis of Landman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's serious. It's Ed O'Neill. It's Al Bundy going to work every day in the oil business, and he's married to Peg, and Kelly is his daughter.
Yeah.
Now the Bud in it seems to be very focused on a career. So that's my analysis.
Well, Bud in Married with Children was too. He was going to be a rap artist. Remember?
The fact that I know his name bothers me.
Yeah. What was it? What was the rap name?
Grandmaster B.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. He was focused. I mean, it didn't go anywhere, but
he was focused.
He was focused on it.
He was focused. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's my analysis of Landman after watching 2 episodes.
Well, there you go.
And it was really the second episode that solidified that his her Allie Lauder, something like that. She's Peg Bundy. She's absolutely Peg Bundy. Just the most lazy thing. At least after 2 episodes. And I heard in the second season, apparently they get back together because it's his ex-wife.
All right,
it's his ex-wife now, but
all right,
she's Peg Bundy.
They film a lot of that around here.
Oh, I know. When I was in a restaurant over Christmas time, they film in the basement of the restaurant that I was in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's some of the shots are really cool. Like I've never seen. Think about this. I've lived in Texas now 26 years. They had the greatest shot from a highway around Midland, where you could see it. And I'm like, wow, it's like a 15-story building there.
Yeah. Right.
And then I love the line, how long are you going to be? Hey, it's Midland. You're 15 minutes away from everything.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
But yeah, it's again, I like watching shows that complete in an hour.
Yeah.
Even when Reacher came out before I figured what's his name, Alan, whatever his name is, a whacked out
Richmond
leftist. I mean, just whacked out. But when it took me a long time to watch those episodes because, an hour, it's like, okay, it's not over yet. 2 hours, it's not over yet. I'm not really good at continuing. I like my TV shows wrapped up in an hour.
I didn't finish. I never watched any of the last season of Yellowstone. I watched every other season, but for me, it became too much like Knots Landing in Dallas from the 80s. It just did. And it's funny because, what's his name? That's in, was in one of the prequels, and also is in, I think he's in Landman. Sam Elliott said the same thing in an interview. They asked him, well, did you watch? Because it was during the promotion of one of the prequel movies or series that they did.
1883.
Yeah, it was. I think it was that one.
Because he was,
and he said they asked him, "Did you watch Yellowstone?" And he said, "No, it came off as too much of a soap opera," and that's exactly what I felt about it. It seemed like one of those primetime soap operas from the 80s. As it progressed, they were on a good path, and it just kind of developed into that. People loved it. It was great. I'm hoping they'll develop the story behind the 4 Sixes, which is related to my family. But more importantly, it's a great story. The history of it. I don't know if it would be, a long-term series. That's another thing. Limited series for me are much better. Get it in 3 or 4 episodes and be done. I'm great that way. Adolescence, which is this British TV show, or I don't know, show, but it's 4 episodes. Each of the episodes is done in one shot. No AI editing or anything like that. one camera that moves throughout every shot and takes you. Each episode is just one shot, which means all the actors can't flub their lines. They have to hit their mark, and everything or everybody's got to start all over.
Wow.
Yeah, and they did. The only thing they did in post is eliminate one window in a room one time, but it wasn't. Again, it wasn't part of the editing of different multiple cameras and everything else. But beyond that, the story is very compelling, and it was very thought provoking. But beyond that, I don't really have much time for anything but true crime documentaries. For me, because you and I are always interested in anything in the law, right? Whatever, and obviously with true crime, it's like, okay, how do people believe? My wife and I had this discussion. We've kind of an ongoing discussion based on things we see and watch. But, how is it that somebody could believe they could, get away with murder, right? Or how do they have it in them? Or do we all have it in us? I mean, technically, we're all capable of committing murder. But do you, what do you have in terms of, think about what it takes or would take to take another life.
Well,
and those conversations are, always intriguing.
I probably, especially because of the rage I've had in a golf game where I've said the rage of a serial killer directed at myself in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned to control that. Do you ever actually control those type of emotions? I don't know. But I've always looked and go, and I forgot who the comedian who said it, but murder is hard.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
if you want to successfully get away with it, it's really hard.
I mean, think about it. You look at certain things, certain murders, they're clearly crimes of passion. And you can tell when it's a crime of passion. The O.J. Simpson murders.
Yeah.
And the gruesome details will tell you it's a crime of passion. The Idaho students that were murdered by Brian Koberger. That's a crime of passion. This is somebody who was very angry. And it's, when you get into that mindset, it's, or try and get into that mindset. It's like, we've all been angry at some point, but then you take it to another, another level to me that just seems like it's not even a part of my universe. I can't even comprehend being there.
One of the things is some of the mob documentaries I've seen where they'll kill somebody and then cut them up to dispose of the body.
Yeah.
And they enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, okay, in order to make money, we need to kill this person and then chop up their body so it's not discovered.
Mm-hmm.
They enjoyed it.
Yeah.
How?
Oh, there are people that just
and then you ask yourself, is it insanity? Is it pure evil? Can you be that evil as to where you enjoy it? I think you can look at human history and say yes.
Well, psychopathic tendencies, are very real. But beyond that, also, the cartels believe it can also be a learned condition. And a few of the cartels actually train
young
boys to kill.
Right.
One of them actually encourages them to eat their own victim. That was the case of these very young children found 11, 12, 13 years old in a house inside the United States in Texas. And they found the victim in the fridge. And that's about as gruesome as it can get.
We know it can be learned behavior. We know that it can be peer pressure involved. Nazi Germany tells you that.
Oh, yeah. And then beyond that, drug-induced, we with both the Nazis and with modern-day terrorism, we know now that drugs were used to put them in this mindset and this rage and this psychopathic mindset.
Oh, yeah. David Bellavia, who got the Medal of Honor, He talked about that in one of his books.
Yeah.
When he was in Fallujah.
Right.
How they knew they were fighting, they were fighting people. The enemy was higher than a kite.
Yeah. Right.
They just pump them full of drugs and go do it.
Yep.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Has fireplace heat been desired? With the bitter cold temperatures that started the year in many parts of the country, if this requires firing up a wood fire stove and finding firewood to fuel it, Sky Stevens of the U.S. Forest Service provides this advice.
Buy it where you burn it.
To help prevent the spread of invasive plant pest and disease from out-of-area locales. As the Forest Service entomologist notes,
I'm aware of at least several examples in which there have been identified pests and pathogens which have potential to be very destructive to our ecosystems, forest resources in particular, that have been transported by firewood.
She adds it is also helpful to understand local rules and regulations regarding firewood transport, whether at the firewood site or your own residence, including if such transfer is legal. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, my favorite Trump quote of the weekend. You ready?
Okay.
All right, he was on Air Force One and talking about the relationship of China and Canada. Here we go.
We don't want China to take over Canada. And if they make the deal that he's looking to make, China will take over Canada. And the first thing they're going to do, end ice hockey.
And beer. He should have thrown in beer, too.
No, I heard Molson and Labatt's is now made in Rochester.
Okay. All right.
They have the American exporter there.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know whether that's true or not. I think it was a Labatt Blue Light somebody told me is made in Rochester.
Okay.
That was,
all right.
But end ice hockey, that was just great.
They're going to end ice hockey.
All right. Don Lemon.
All right.
Were you this? We haven't even talked about this even in our pre-show meeting.
Yeah.
But
because it would require talking about Don Lemon. I don't want to start my day that way. Anyway, go ahead. Since we're here.
Well, it's almost as if the left has no idea what the First Amendment is about.
Oh, I think that's the case, yeah.
That was just, it was amazing. He's got a First Amendment right. He's on somebody else's property.
Right.
What are you talking about? And we haven't got into, this specific law, which we will following the bottom of the hour. Mm-hmm. But just the generality is, what the hell are you talking about? So I can just go up, walk in your door, and start screaming what I want, then turn around and walk out?
Right.
Now, what they're trying to say is, the left, I will say this, though, the defense, I've seen a few conservatives say the defense and the outrage over Don Lemon on the left is not as great as they thought it was going to be. Almost as if, we don't care about Don Lemon anymore. But there were enough, especially on the Sunday morning news shows, talking about the First Amendment right. And this is one of the problems. It's like, do the people on the left, do you have any idea of anything? Do you have to have knowledge on anything before you debate? Or is it just pure emotion? And whatever you believe the law is what the law is, even if you're completely and totally clueless as to what the law is.
No, I think it's okay, sometimes required to be clueless. I really do. Otherwise, where do you go on a debate? If you know what the law is, if you know what the Constitution is, there really is no debate.
No, and if you read the actual law, You read the law that came in, what, 1994 from Clinton? If you read the law, it's absolutely obvious. It's almost like saying, thou shalt not steal. Well, I only borrowed the car.
Right.
I was going to bring it back, so I didn't steal it.
I'm shoplifting to feed my family, as AOC would say.
You're right. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. You can listen when you choose. So I'm reading here Bob Capano from the New York Post. Poetic justice. Democrats' own law boomerangs Don Lemon. Few political stories rival the delicious irony unfolding right now in Los Angeles. That's where federal agents arrested former CNN anchor Don Lemon, charging him with violating the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act. The offense, his role in live streaming and allegedly aiding disruptive anti-ICE protesters who stormed City's church in St. Paul, Minnesota during Sunday worship earlier this month. They interrupted the service to target a church pastor they believed worked for federal immigration and customs enforcement. Lemon claimed he was just doing journalism, but the Justice Department sees it a clear interference with First Amendment religious rights, exactly what the FACE Act forbids, and goes into talking about how the FACE Act came about in the Clinton administration. And yes, it was initially for, because you saw everybody on the left saying this is just for reproductive health clinics, right? That's what you saw. Well, it's not. I mean, they were just listening to what the talking points were. Cornell Law School, very easy to do your own fact-checking on this, lays it out. Here it is. Here's the part that relates to Don Lemon.
Okay.
Whoever, by force or threat of force or by physical obstruction, intentionally injures, intimidates, or interferes with or attempts to injure, intimidate, or interfere with any person lawfully exercising or seeking to exercise the First Amendment right of religious freedom at a place of religious worship. Could that be any clearer? And it's separate, again, that's separate from the portion which says the same thing on, quote, reproductive health services. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So once you lay that out, they've got nothing to say on it.
Right.
Now, if you look at local laws, you're not going to get anybody charging these people with in Minneapolis, St. Paul, with trespassing.
Right.
They're not, the local DAs aren't going to do anything about that or intimidate, whatever local laws or state laws they have in Minnesota. But I was reading that the Department of Justice was like, if we let this thing go, they're going to go into churches. We need to arrest somebody. Because if nothing is done, if it's permitted for anybody now in Minneapolis to go into a church and nothing happens to you when you do it, that was the fear that would become more widespread across the country from the Department of Justice, which is why they went after this. But there's not much else to say when you lay it out. Whoever by force or threat of force or by physical obstruction intentionally injures, intimidates, or interferes with or attempts to injure, intimidate, or interfere with any person lawfully exercising or seeking to exercise the First Amendment right of religious freedom at a place of religious worship. Now, the part of it is The initial thing was if you are obstructing not even on their physical property, if you're on a sidewalk obstructing them, they went into the church.
Yeah.
And I've seen clips of some of the things that Don Lemon has said when he was there, and I'm like, not good, not good, not good. He's trying to claim he was a journalist who was just covering it, but he made it clear he knew an operation was going to happen, and he was going to follow them when it happened.
Well, and it's also becoming this creating of a hero or martyr for the left, since he was released. And you can't have it both ways. You're not a hero or a martyr for doing journalism. You're a hero or a martyr for being a part of the radical movement yourself, actually being a protester, which was clear by the clips that he was. He wasn't there covering anything. First of all, it would have to include the idea that Don Lemon has an interest in journalism. And that hasn't ever been the case.
Would you ever think that you could walk in, that you could do, this is one of the things that we've talked about over the last couple of weeks. Would you ever think that you could obstruct law enforcement with your car and there wouldn't be consequences to those actions?
No.
Would you ever think that you could spit at law enforcement and kick the back tail light out of their car and that there would be no circumstances or people concerned about what your motivations or intentions were?
No. I see these clips of people just throwing a tantrum in their car after being pulled over. The dash cam from the officers running and records it. Yeah. And they're just throwing. There's one guy who just is screaming bloody murder. He doesn't ever do anything physical other than that. But he's just screaming. And I'm thinking to myself, you're not. This isn't where you work that out. If you want to issue your grievance, go to court. Take it to court. Period. And leave it at that. But there are people that go far beyond that. Today, they believe, again, that they are being the hero, that it is their obligation to interfere with law enforcement, to, in the case of Don Lemon, interfere with churches if they believe that there's a connection to ICE with that church. It is so far beyond. I mean, we're on another planet level of radical behavior by the left now. I know a pastor who used to be DEA. And I can't imagine, again, somebody, and he's in a small town, I can't imagine some anti-law enforcement opposition protester group barging into his church because he's retired from the DEA. It's so far, again, so far beyond comprehension for most people. Because they themselves now say it on social media. The radicals. This is not about protest signs. You have to get involved. You have to get in there and be physically involved. They're promoting altercations. And there are enough of them that take that up and say, that's exactly what we're going to do. Don Lemon thought he was on top of the world that day going into that church. And being the self-anointed celebrity that he thinks he is, that was going to carry the weight for that group that was in that church. He still believes he did the right thing. They have no regard for the law or other people's rights. If those people disagree with them or on the opposite side, or there might be some kind of indirect relation of somebody at that church and ICE. I mean, pick a reason.
The argument I loved was over the weekend was, well, aren't churches open to everyone?
Yeah, right.
Like, okay, now you're reaching.
Right.
And the answer is no.
No, not for disruptive purposes.
Right, exactly.
And he wasn't there to worship.
And it was almost as if we don't like what you're doing, we don't care about your property.
Right.
If they wanted to stand outside the church and protest without obstructing, probably they would have been safe. But as soon as they walked in, that's when I go, I didn't know they were doing it. I'm not going in. Sorry, we'll stay out here, interview people afterwards. I'm not walking in because at that point, I'm blurring the lines big time between. I'm talking about how I would look at it because my intent would not be to attempt to intimidate at all. I wouldn't be looking at this going, oh, this is great, it's happening. Let me be a part of it. I'd simply be saying, what's the story here? Why are they doing it? And then what's the response afterwards? And then I would actually ask permission. Can I interview you? Can I interview you on this?
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
But when you go in with them, at that point, that's when the sirens go off in my head if I was a journalist.
Right.
You know,
there's no way. There was no way I'd be following that group in. You crossed the line at that point.
When I covered the abortion protests in the early 90s in Buffalo, New York, I don't know if you remember them. They were huge. That was actually ground zero of it. And at a abortion clinic, I don't know if it's still there on Sweet Home Road, and it was, interestingly enough, I would end up living right down the street from there a couple of years later. But I went and I wanted to see what was going on. I wanted to cover it. And there was pro-life on one side, pro-abortion on the other. And for the media, they actually had wooden steps and a path that you were on. And you could interview people from that path, but they set it up to make sure that the media wasn't a part. If you wanted to, you go, and you went right through the middle of it. It was pretty intense. And this is on a pretty major road. And the road was really just shut down. I don't think they were letting cars through. It was a detour on it. But it was because the abortion clinic was right there. And it was mostly, you had the pro-lifers mostly were on the other side of the road just praying.
Mm-hmm.
It never got violent. The pro-abortion people were furious. They were livid.
Right.
But we went, I was watching my report. I wasn't a reporter. I wanted to see what was going on and just be there with my reporter covering it, just to be there with her in case anything got a little out of hand. She was fine, though. But, you knew what your role was. Your role is not to enable. It's not to be a part of the protest. You're covering it. And that's another thing. What's a journalist today?
Well, again, if you're gonna say, if someone like a Don Lemon is going to claim he was there as a journalist, you're not participating, which he clearly was. You see the videos.
Yeah.
He's participating. He was there for a reason. And now he's trying to take the glory of a martyr, which is another tell that, well, wait a minute, a martyr for just being there? Covering it? Nobody's a martyr for covering it. You're a martyr because you think you're a martyr because you were participating and you know it.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Now, I mean, I have no idea what a jury will say or whether there'll be plea bargains and the whole Don Lemon thing.
Yeah.
You know, where this will go, whether a judge will throw it out. But there is a law that is specific to churches, a federal law.
Mm-hmm.
That cannot be denied. How they will view it based on the evidence, I don't know.
Right.
What evidence will Lemon's lawyer give? What will the prosecution specifically give? What witnesses will they use? I guarantee they're going to use witnesses from the church, because the people in the church were extremely upset by that.
Yeah.
And so if you want to convince a jury, you bring in people that were worshiping in a church that said, we were terrified by what happened when this happened.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's, again, you have to put on display the damage that was done by those actions of the individual that's accused. And we'll see where it goes. I mean, I don't know what I expect from a judge or a jury in this case. Right now with the political climate, it's all up in the air. We'll see.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.